And then to pray for all living entities to become Krishna conscious. This is the extent of magnanimous nature of His Holiness Bhakti Teacher Maharaj, which resemble the life of Vasudeva. Their compassion is not limited. Their compassion includes everything because they see, His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj would say, we are in a global community. He doesn't say we are in this country or that country. He says a global community. Means what? He sees the whole world as one village. Let's say one community. Means what? One family. Not two families, one family. And from our experience here in West Africa, His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj to demonstrate in action, like he said, spiritual warriors are lovers in action. Not just a statement in the book. He lived his life like that. He is a lover in action. What does it mean? Here in West Africa, we have seen His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj preaching to not only devotees, not only Vaishnava community. He was preaching to the Islam, Muslim. We have had many programs with the Muslims, many Sufis Muslim. We have had many preaching activities with a Christian community, different level, different denominations in Christianity. We have had many preaching activities, preaching programs with different organizations, a Rosicrucian order, Ethereal societies, the Olumba, many other special organizations. His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj had the opportunity to preach to all. So he is a lover in action. He's a lover of people in action. Therefore, it is not a pretense or a strategy for preaching. We have a strategy for preaching. But His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj go beyond the strategy to preach. He goes beyond that to actually identify with the people, which is very risky. But he did it. Why? Because he cared for people from the core of his heart. His heart constantly bleeds in compassion for living entities. I remember many times on the Vyasa, His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj is preaching and crying. Yes. Many pure devotees, they can do that. They can cry. They shed tears out of pure love for Godhead. They shed tears. But we have seen His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj crying many times on Vyasa, many occasions. But the principal reason for his crying was the compassion he had for the living entities. One time, he was asked, Gurudev, for what are you crying for? You're crying. Yes, we are crying because of the pain you get from seeing or suffering. Because there's one mantra which Gurudev chant throughout all his lectures, Paradukha Dukhi. Paradukha Dukhi. This is a favorite mantra for Gurudev. Paradukha Dukhi. He is very, very, very concerned. He's in pain to see living entities in difficulty. And he finds ways to see that he do something practical to help. I mentioned the other day, he said we should start a social activity to help people. So he was asked at this time, Gurudev, for what reason are you crying? Many devotees in the temple room, Gurudev said, I'm crying looking at all of you here. I'm looking at your faces. I'm looking at all of you here. Many of you sitting here are constantly thinking how to give up Krishna consciousness. That is giving me pain. You are giving pain to my heart, thinking of giving up Krishna consciousness. Why? Because if one person becomes a devotee, Krishna will liberate your family members. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said, for a neophyte devotee, 3 generations. Neophyte, 3 generations. Just neophyte, a crude devotee who does not know anything, who don't even have a good footing yet in Krishna consciousness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, 3 generations of such a devotee. Krishna will liberate the family members. From the mother's side, from the father's side. So Gurudev said, giving up Krishna consciousness means that we have a very hard heart. Our heart is like stone. Just to think of giving up Krishna consciousness is giving me pain. So we don't want to liberate even our own family members. Even our own family members, we don't want to liberate them. So we're so selfish that we want to give up Krishna consciousness so that our family members continue to suffer in hell. The world will continue to suffer as it is going on. Thinking of that is giving me pain. How can I tolerate this? That is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. Crying because some entity want to give up Krishna consciousness. What is, for ordinary person? What to hell with that? What is my problem with that? But because his life has been given to saving devotees, he feels very happy to see someone becoming devotee. And we have seen how much energy he put into our life. And personally, why is he taking so much interest in helping a useless condemned soul? Because he knows that by making someone a devotee, that person is going to make another person a devotee, that person is going to make another person a devotee. And by making devotees, we are helping suffering conditional souls who are rotting in this material world to go back to Godhead. It is said that of all the opulences of Krishna, the opulence of Krishna reclaiming conditional soul is the topmost. Therefore, devotees who are assisting Krishna in this way or reclaiming conditional souls are most dear to Krishna. That is why we see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Vasudeva-datta, I am only Vasudeva-datta's mind. My body is only meant to please Vasudeva-datta. And he can send me anywhere. He can send me anywhere. Vasudeva-datta has the right to sell me. And he said, if he sells me, I'm sold. There's no doubt about that. It's the truth only. All devotees, please listen to me. That Vasudev that own me completely. He can sell me. So we saw His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj had the same nature. No wonder. It's not a surprise that his spiritual master, just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing to Vasudev Datta, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada did the same thing to his own disciple, Bhattacharya Maharaj, shedding tears of love. Oh, Bhattacharya Maharaj taking risk to help conditions will become liberated. Shedding tears and rubbing his eyes and embracing him very tightly and giving a blessing. Their life is successful. Their life is successful. This is Parampara system. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did it to Vasudev that His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is doing also for his disciples, the Bhakti Maharaj. Why? They have the same nature. Because they have the same nature. All my dear devotees, he said, I tell you the truth. My body is especially meant for Vasudev Datta. My life is for Vasudev Datta. He can sell me. This is not just a statement. He can sell me. So his Bhattacharya Maharaj life is full of compassion for living entities. The last phone call I had with His Holiness Bhattacharya Maharaj, the last one before he disappeared. So Gurudev was instructing me many things. And he told me 3 things specifically to myself. And then after that, he said, you know, I want to make sacrifice for all of you. Most of you are locked up in heavy karma. I want to lose that chain. I want to release all of you from that bondage. Therefore, I'm sacrificing 29 years. His Holiness Bhattacharya Maharaj, according to his horoscope, I read his horoscope, his chart. I read. I had it with me, so I was reading for a few days. I read many days. I was going through all of them. So he was to live in this material world till 2034. And he lived 2005. That means he sacrificed 29 years to break our karma. That is not ordinary. So we saw him crying seriously while he leaving the body. It's a sacrifice he made just to help us become released from karma. He paid a heavy price. I want to release all of you from karma. Many of you are locked up in karma and you are not making advancement as much as required. So I want to make sacrifice to help all of you. It was one Janmaswami in Argentina that he made that prayer, he repeated in Mayapur 2004. He made the prayer. He made the prayer to Prabhupada and to Krishna. What needs to be taken away from me to become a better servant? Let it be taken away. Let it be. It could be anything my wife, my husband, my own life, death, whatever. Let it be as a sacrifice to release a human, to release the conditioned soul locked up in karma in this world. One of his god-brother told him, Bhakti Maharaj, you are very, very serious devotee. You are very, very serious devotee. Anything you say to Krishna, you're going to respond. Please withdraw this prayer. He said, no. I'm not joking about it. I have a long list in my life, many friends who told me how they have prayed to His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj at difficulties and they got released. I have many friends who told me this. Many friends. After his departure. Many devotees are still having him coming to the dream, instructing them what to do in the Christian consciousness. Many. I say, seeing him in dreams. Coming to give instruction. How many can I say? My own personal one. How many can I say? The guidance, the instructions, the mercy, the push. The push is giving to us to remain in Christian consciousness with all the support. Who can count? That is the life of His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj. That the whole world can identify with. I know all the preaching opportunities I'm getting today, it is because of the love people had for Bhakti Maharaj are giving it to me. I have many disciples who approach me because they have desired to have a Gurudev here, and especially Master, but before they could do that, he left. My daughter told me, only one lecture, only one kirtan I saw him, he took my heart. Many devotees told me this. From Peru, from Brazil, from all over, many places. Russia. I just had his lecture once and his kirtan once, and he finished my life. But he left. Many have not taken his decision till today because we were thinking, yes, this is my spiritual master, but he disappeared physically. You know, many people have not taken a decision. I know many, both in Mauritius, here in Africa, here in Nigeria, here, and also in other places, like in Peru, as I mentioned, many of them, they have not taken a decision because they wanted him. His Holiness BTSwami Maharaj 𝐾𝐻.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your wonderful, wonderful pastimes and also just allowing us to dive deeper into what Swami Bhagavan Keshava Swami was discussing in terms of 𝐒𝒍𝒍𝒐𝒘's mood of humility and just understanding how Gurudev completely imbibed the same type of humility and just compassion and love for devotees. And I really loved how you were saying, you know, he's a lover of people in action and just really in the way, you know, just literally how he would see devotees suffering around the world and did not want to see them suffer anymore, and everything that he did for us and continues to do for us, and how he's still readily available for us if we write to him, speak to him, pray to him, in whichever way he is readily available and there to help us. And so 2034, he was supposed to live 29 extra years sacrificed for all of us. So this is a beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing these wonderful pastimes and sharing your realizations and allowing us to go deeper into understanding the connection between 𝐒𝒍𝒍𝒐𝒃 and Gurudev. Okay, so thank you so much. Next, we have a video journey of BTSwami in Nigeria, which is produced by disciples and grand disciples of Nigerian Yatra.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness BTSwami was and forever remains an iconic father, savior, spiritual master, and ambassador to many in West Africa. In this video, we will be sharing with you memories, places, and adventures of His Holiness, particularly in Nigeria. As we all know now, Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, all the way from Vaikunta, is even found in some of the cities, towns, and villages in Nigeria. This is what happens when a bona fide spiritual master also meets a bona fide disciple. His Holiness BTSwami, out of his love for his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, pioneered the entire ISKCON Nigeria. By his costless mercy, we now have ISKCON Lagos, ISKCON Port Harcourt, ISKCON Benin, ISKCON Warri, ISKCON Kaduna, etc. Actually, to introduce any form of religion aside Christianity and Islam, especially in the western part of Africa, is not an easy task. Talk less of establishing such temples. Indeed, Maharaj was a spiritual warrior. Moving on, let's talk about Maharaj's popular ecstatic kirtan and dancing. Interestingly, these two exclusive activities of his were the favorites of many whenever he visited these various temples. They were so spiritually fun that even the little kids would participate. It was such a sight to behold, very appealing to the heart. Maharaj's special kirtan was not confined in the temple alone. He made sure to extend it to the busiest streets and marketplaces, especially in Lagos. In fact, he even often shook the entire environment with his tumultuous kirtan and special dancing, which obviously grabbed the crowd's attention, as if they had seen a lion roaring and dancing. Srila Krishnapad, as he is also popularly called, was also very well recognized and much appreciated for preaching interviews in various media houses.
I'm sure that this is not intended very subterraneously to create a kind of aura, a kind of myth, which may not necessarily be there. Is that not what you intend to carry with this mode of dress?
No,
And,
we see that spiritualists always have simple living and high thinking. If you look in most churches, you'll see that when the pastor is speaking, he has a robe. When the bishop is speaking,
he did interviews with the Nigerian Television Authority in Benin City, Ogun, and Lagos states. OGTV also in Ogun State and Delta State Television. Maharaj also had meetings with different government officials, immigrations, and custom persons, of course, purposely to share with them the precious gift of Krishna consciousness. He also gave his special mercy to other religious bodies in Nigeria. He would often attend interfaith programs, even with those in the African traditional sect. And due to his versatile and loving nature, he was coronated as the High Chief of the 𝐤𝐬𝐺 of 𝐸𝐻 Kingdom in Warri, Delta State. Srila Krishnapad was made the second in command to the king. At that time, the king was very charitably disposed to the devotees. Hence, after being very pleased with the divine association of Maharaj, he so happily gave the land on which Warri Temple is currently built. This gesture remains an iconic one till this day. His Holiness did meet with the Oba of Benin Kingdom too. Actually, the Benin Kingdom is known to be one of the very famous ancient kingdoms with special historical events in West Africa. And as expected, Maharaj did not hesitate to seize this opportunity to expand his preaching service. The more fun part of this activity was that he would often distribute delicious cookies prasad to everyone present. Such was his special mercy. And to finally top the icing on the cake, here is the most exciting and adventurous memory with Maharaj. His enthusiasm and love for sports and recreational activities. On special occasions like Christmas and New Year celebrations, Maharaj, along with the devotees, would visit the famous Badagry beach in Lagos. Over there, he gave lectures and conducted Harinam Sankirtan. Afterwards, he would happily put on his sportswear and play soccer with the devotees and even join their racing competitions. Very athletic and down to earth was His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. Such is the gem-like, ever-flowing mercy of the Lord and His generals. We pray that we continue to take advantage of such mercy and carry on His legacy. His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai, Hare Krishna. That was so beautiful. Thank you, devotees from Nigeria, disciples and grand disciples, for producing that. That was amazing. I want to see more and more. That was so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing the journey of BTSwami in Nigeria. Next, we have His Holiness Charundeshna Swami, who is a disciple of BTSwami Maharaj, who joined ISKCON in 1987 in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. He took his first initiation in 1987 and second initiation in 1995 and served as temple president of ISKCON Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. After many years as temple president and serving in Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution and deity service, his Guru Maharaj, His Holiness BTSwami, sent him to India, Mayapur and Vrindavan in 2002 to take Bhakti Shastri and many other Vaishnava courses. Upon arrival back to the Ivory Coast, he was ordered by his guru to travel all over Africa and teach what he had learned. His Holiness Bhakti Charundeshna Swami took his sannyas initiation from His Holiness Kavichandra Swami in June of 2015. Now as a coordinator of ISKCON West Africa Francophone zones, he travels regularly to preach and inspire devotees in Togo, Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, Congo, Kinshasa, Mauritius, Union, and South Africa. So we'd like to welcome His Holiness Charundeshna Swami.
Sorry to just step in here. Maharaj is yet to join, but we have Mother Ishwar in front here.
Okay. Mother Ishwar, you said, is here? Okay. All right. So I think what we'll do is then
Hare Krishna. Sai Hari Bol.
Okay, so let me
Okay.
All right, so I'd like to introduce Mother Sri Upanishad, Devi Dasi then. Mother Sri Upanishad attended the same school with Gurudev, but the Krishna consciousness did not happen until they were out of high school. Mother Sri Upanishad has been promoting marketing spiritual warrior series in libraries all over the world. She has consistently continued Japa line for over a decade, and for many years led Srimad Bhagavatam classes daily. And she is hosting wonderful weekly programs for the Cleveland Yatra and is inspiring devotees everywhere she goes, and is also wonderfully preaching in many types of different ways, and is always enthusiastic. So we are very, very happy to have Her Grace Mother Sri Upanishad.
Jai Hare Krishna, devotees. How are we doing? How's everyone? Can I get a Hare Krishna from everyone?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, we have a special guest. Please accept my obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Bhakti Tirtha Swami. We have a special guest. I'm not sure if she's on now because we were supposed to go on at 12:45. And it's Guru's niece. Her name is Novella, and she will be sharing some pastimes with her uncle. But until I'm not sure she's there. And are you there, Novi? Hare Krishna? Well, she's not. But in the meanwhile, maybe we can come back when she does come on at 12:45. Would that be okay, you think?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
So what I would like to do then is I want to share some wonderful readings, and my daughter would like to share a letter from Bhakti Tirtha Swami that was written back in 1983. I'm thinking 83. No, 1978. And we'll do that because I wanted to read something first from the Beggar series, Beggar 2, Crying Out for the Mercy. This was very touching to me, and it's very inspirational. And it also reminds me of that we're not permanent residents in the material world. And it's the name of this particular meditation is called Standing at the Court of Death. And I shall begin reading. Listen attentively, everyone, because this is really, really sweet, really nice. It says, Guru starts it off with saying, death recently came and stole me away, like a thief snatching his prey in the dead of night. I found myself constantly thinking, why me? Why am I here of all places? Days, months, and years had gone by so quickly. I remembered being in primary school, high school, then college, and later traveling around the world. In my late 40s, I had begun to feel some distinct changes in my body, but I had continued to live like I was immortal. I should have understood that those changes were signs of my machine wearing down. Now, as I looked around, there was complete silence one moment. And then seconds later, I heard loud screaming. A series of thoughts bombarded me. Surely this noise will deafen me, I thought. I've never felt so alone in my life. Then moments later, I felt suffocatingly crowded in, as I no longer had individuality. At the height of my bewilderment, Lord Yamaraj, the fearsome superintendent of death, appeared, along with his court appointees. Instantly, I began shrieking at them. This is a mistake. I am not supposed to be here. To my astonishment, all around me, I could hear millions of other souls making similar desperate pleas. I tried to distinguish myself to show that I was different, but each of the millions of souls around me had similar tactics. Although each of us was feeling that we did not belong in this courtroom, Lord Yamaraj somehow mysteriously addressed each person and explained to each of us why we had been brought before him. Then Yamaraj looked directly at me and addressed me with stinging sarcasm. You are Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Krishnapad. Where is the Tirtha of Bhakti? My mouth dropped open and I stood silently. Have you been able to get the souls under your care to take full shelter of you and give up their sinful habits? I think not, he said. I could offer only a bashful shrug. Didn't you know that if you could not and did not purify your dependents, that you would be accountable for their sins? You have so many hundreds of sinners connected to us or to you. Thus, you have huge quantities of debts to atone for. Even your own purity cannot save you now. What then do you propose? Again, I said nothing, But then Yamaraj allowed me to study the scenes of my lifetime and of many other lifetimes preceding it. I saw myself in and out of so many different bodies, like an actor in his dressing room trying on different costumes. In each body costume, I would parade around for a few moments. But I noticed that in each body, no matter how different it was from the last, I felt completely at home and identified it as myself, often completely forgetting my mission. Even during times when I had some clear power of recollection, the surrounding environment would have such an impact on me that I would frequently become acculturated. As I studied these previous lives of mine, it seemed foolish that I had become so absorbed in my distractions and superficialities. It was even more ridiculous how I tolerated so much nonsense from those under my care, as if negative situations would just blow away. In every life, there was much assistance available to help me tune into the spiritual world. But I was so carried away with each costume and backdrop that I kept neglecting the obvious. Then suddenly, I sped up to this lifetime to examine it more carefully. This time, I had even more divine help than in my previous lives, but still the distractions were many. I looked again at Yamaraj and tried to formulate a defense. In a cracking voice, I said, I chanted my 16 rounds every single day and never broke any of the 4 regulator principles. King Yamaraj turned to his assistant. Explain this to this pretender. You also followed the 4 regulated principles, ate no flesh, took no intoxicants, and didn't gamble or engage in illicit sex life. But in your mind, you constantly broke the principles. He paused. It's time you understood how the law works, so pay attention. Your physical body changes every lifetime, but your mind carries your actual self to its next existence. Thus, you are accountable for all these mental deviations. But what about all the service I did? I exclaimed with smug certainty. Do you think that the service of your ego constitutes devotional service? Throughout all your grand service, your greatest interest was your own fame. And now you have achieved that success you were chasing, for you are very famous here amongst the infamous. But I have a powerful spiritual master. Let me turn the page. Challenged. Surely you're aware of Srila Prabhupada. You're right. And this is another reason you have been sent here. You see, to assist you and others, Lord Sri Krishna personally sent you one of his topmost special agents. Srila Prabhupada was Krishna's specially empowered representative, directly connected with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu, just to help the likes of you. Lord Krishna sent his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, to that wretched environment you dwelled in. Srila Prabhupada was the Senapati Bhakta, a great field commander who would go to every corner of the world to reclaim souls. But even though Krishna sent such a great soul to assist all of you, neither you nor the others properly honored him or fully submitted to his desires. Eventually, Lord Krishna felt that Prabhupada was overstaying, and therefore he called them back, although he was willing to continue helping you ungrateful souls. Yamaraj's assistant continued. Actually, in the end, it was the sins of his unqualified disciples that brought Srila Prabhupada's body down so fast. You disciples must take responsibility for his early departure. In fact, persons like you must be dealt with on 2 levels. You will have to bear the burden you cause your spiritual master with your own weaknesses. And you will also have to carry the weight of your disciples' sins. My heart sank to my toes as he asked, which of these areas do you want to suffer for first? At first, I was speechless. But finally, I managed to speak. Please punish me first for those burdens I caused my guru. As soon as I said this, your spiritual master has intervened and summoned me to give you release. Before I could reply, he continued. Even we are amazed at how your guru is willing to absorb more of your karmic reactions. This kind of compassion is something we rarely ever see. Then I heard my spiritual master's voice. You do not belong there. Come with me, my beloved child, so that we can be together again. But Srila Prabhupada, I am not worthy of you. It doesn't matter, he answered, but I resisted. Don't you know that at the ceremony in which you took second birth, I agreed to become your father? Although I wanted to, I could not speak. My son, there is no abandonment in the spiritual world, nor are there any neglected children. Liberated spiritualists have no such dysfunction, Prabhupada said to me. Besides, my son, our connection is eternal. With these words, I bowed at Srila Prabhupada's feet. And when he leaned over and touched my head, contact with his fingertips caused me to spiral in unparalleled ecstasy. Suddenly, I thought of just how unworthy I was of my guru's unending compassion. Then I lost consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhakti BTSwami ki jai, Hari Hari Bol. Devotees, wow. Hare Krishna.
Whoa.
I had to read that. My guru, our guru, Bhakti BTSwami, he is just so special. And we deserve to honor him and make sure that he is always constantly in our lives, because he's a warrior on this battlefield. And he has empowered us to be like him in that way. So I would also like to offer more words of wisdom spoken by Bhakti BTSwami. This is to help community development, in which I think that I am lacking so much. All of you spiritual warriors that are out there on this call, I'm sure that you have all these wonderful qualifications that I will read. And Guru says to treat everyone you encounter as if the success of your spiritual life depends upon the quality of your interaction with them. Reflect upon the person you love the most and aspire to treat everyone with that same quality of love. Anytime there is a conflict in a relationship, see it as your own fault first. Realize that the people in your present environment might very well be the people with whom you will live out your life and who will be with you at the time of death. Hari Hari Bol, dear devotees. There's one more letter that I want to read. I want to share. Is everybody with me? Can I hear a Hari Bol, Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Jai, 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 Hare
Hare Krishna.
Jai. There's a letter that Bhakti BTSwami sent me years ago, and it was in 1978. And I understand that Novi, his niece, will be on, but she won't come on until 12:45, and I don't have a way, unless I stop with this presentation, to let her know that we're speaking right now, because I really wanted her to share. But I'll go on. I want my daughter, Taria, are you on board? Hare Krishna? Taria Leela? Hari Hari Bol. I have a letter that I would want to read. It was from 1978. I have lots of letters, by the way, that Guru has sent me over the years. But this particular one was written to us in 1978 with to my husband, former husband, Ronald Phillips Bay. So, Taria, are you there?
Yes, Mataji, she's here. I'll just ask her to unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, can you just raise your hand from the device you're connected from and would be speaking? Okay, I can see your video on.
Okay, there we go.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Haribol, there we go. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisance of all glories to Sri Guru Sharanya. Yes, as my mom was expressing, this is a letter that she received from Gurudev, Bhakti Swami. It was addressed to my father, Ronald Phillips Bay, and her, and I will begin reading. Hare Krishna, Ron. Please accept my warmest greetings. For many years now, I find myself from time to time thinking about you and Isis. I feel so obligated to the two of you, for you introduced me to spiritual life. I can never forget the times that we have shared. Because I have so much love for the two of you, someday I will return this favor. In other words, you have both helped me so much. I am sure by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, I will be able to help you. Since I left you last in Cleveland, I have been traveling very extensively. And in a few months, I'll be going back to India. All this time will take, by Krishna's mercy, the sannyas order. I will be initiated as a traveling mendicant. This is nice in as much as it will provide me with the greater facility for traveling around the world and engaging in many important projects. This sannyas order is actually the very advanced order in spiritual life. I have no qualifications actually for it, but somehow or other, it has come upon me. Now I am praying that I will be able to come up to the standards of this ashram. There are so many spiritual personalities in Cleveland. It is actually a very special place on this planet to live. One day I hope to return to be able to do a lot of service there, as I have a very intimate relationship with Kirtananda Swami, who is the founder of New Vrindavan and is the ultimate supervisor of the Cleveland Project. So as I will be visiting him from time to time, I will be back and forth near or to Cleveland, and I am praying that I will have more opportunity to meet with you and Isis so that we can once again involve ourselves in trying more and more to perfect this life. Human life is so special because it is actually the platform for finishing all suffering. It is the platform for the particular junction for going back to the spiritual world. Experienced many difficult situations in the last few years in trying to maintain your spiritual life. But you can see very clearly that the taste and the bliss of spiritual life is far greater than that of material sense gratification. Actually, you can see that, materially speaking, there is no happiness. So to keep on engaging in material activities without trying to move more and more in spiritual consciousness simply causes very great anguish and suffering. I am sure you will testify to this. So I am praying for your welfare, and I am begging this time that you will read the books that are being sent to you very closely. Please keep receiving these volumes. Read them very closely And please pass these books on to others who would be willing to appreciate their subject matter. I remain, as always, anticipating any chance to once again be with you. Your ever well-wisher, John Favors, Ganesham Das. Jai, all glories to Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Ki.
Jai. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Are the devotees, are we still with me?
Yes, yes, yes. Would you like to share some reflections on that? And Normala, is that who you're waiting for?
Yes.
Who are we?
No.
Okay, I think that her, what's the name?
Has she arrived?
I think so.
Okay, I can't tell. I'm on my cell phone. If I was on my computer, I would be able to see the screen a lot better, you know. So,
yep, so maybe
Novi, are you there?
I'm here. It's Normella. Thank you. It's
Normella.
Yeah. Novi is fine.
Okay. Hare Krishna, devotees.
Hare Krishna.
I would like for you to be introduced to Gurudev Bhakti Tirtha Swami Srila Krishnapad's niece, Novi, Nomella. And she will share some of the wonderful interactions that she had with her uncle. And I'll give you the floor, Nomella. So you can go ahead.
Okay.
You know what?
Well,
before I do that, let me just say one other thing. As we know, our guru, he excels in education. He has the doctorate at Princeton, and like her uncle, she has quite a bit of qualifications, educational wise as well. So I didn't have a bio to share with you because I don't know, we may have failed to make the connection to read it for you. But could you share a little bit about your background, please?
Sure. So I was born in Cleveland, raised in a small suburb outside of Cleveland, Shaker Heights, Ohio. I work as a vice president of enterprise diversity at the Mass General Brigham Hospital system in Boston. It's one of the Harvard teaching hospitals. But this isn't really about me, so I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about myself. I really would like, and I'm just really so honored to be here with all of you. And I'm just so grateful that you are honoring the memory of my dear uncle, who I think of and miss every day. He was a real force in my life. My mother is the youngest she's the youngest girl of the 6 siblings. So the 2 boys were younger than her, but she was very close to my uncle, and because they had a very close relationship, my brother and I also had a close relationship with him, and I miss him dearly. And I don't remember him ever not being in my life. And he brought such joy. He was just a joyful person. He brought a lot of joy. And not only just joy, but I remember as I got older, really appreciating some of the deep spiritual discussions that the 2 of us had. And I can't really talk about my uncle without also talking about my grandmother, his mother, the vessel in which he came to this earth through, who was also just one of my greatest treasures and an amazing person herself, and a very spiritual person as well. And one of the things that I learned from my uncle is that that we attract certain spirits to us. And I know for a fact that he was attracted to her for a particular reason. She was the mother that he needed. And she was also a deeply spiritual person. But I feel like he was able to take that level of spirituality to the next level. And he and I had a lot of conversations about energy. And I remember having some very deep conversations when I was having my first child, and him talking to me very seriously about what I should and should not expose her to, and protecting her in terms of what she should see, hear, taste, feel, and being very sensitive to those things. I also want to read a passage. I've read all of his books. I'd like to read a passage out of one of them, which I carry with me and use all the time and share with others, from Leadership for an Age of Higher Consciousness, Volume 2. And it's about character. And if you'll allow me, it says that we can develop stronger character by studying others who have outstanding character. Character is the ability to rise above self-interest for the sake of others. Character is who you are when others are not watching. For example, we can reinforce our consciousness by allowing what we are in private to be open to public scrutiny. Character is shaped by how we choose our everyday thoughts, words, and actions. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your culture. And that never left me. These are things that I really live my life by, and I am much, much, much more intentional about my thoughts and understanding the progression of what happens with thoughts because of my relationship with him. He was just a really special and beloved person in my life. I know that he needed to move, onto a different realm. I get choked up when I think about it because I just feel like he left me too soon. But I still feel like his presence is here inside of me. And I miss him. He was a very thoughtful person. He was a very kind, warm, and loving person. Very giving, not perfect. There are no perfect people. But made a real mark on my life. And I feel very blessed to have had the opportunity to have spent the time in a very close and intimate relationship with him as his niece. And I do feel like he was a gift to this world. And I try to live the lessons that he taught me every single day. And I also try to make a point of sharing what I've learned with others as well. I felt like he was a wonderful role model and a very loving uncle.
Novi, I'm touched. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Me
Jai,
too.
I'm such a big crybaby anyway, so
Yeah,
I'm going
me
to
too.
turn it over the floor back to Krishna Shakti. Haribol. But I would like to say, I really appreciate you being here on this format and honoring your uncle and inspiring the devotees.
Thank you for inviting me.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Normella. That was beautiful. It was beautiful to hear insight and also get different perspectives and just hearing your reflections and your realizations. So thank you so much. Very appreciative. And now we are going to go to His Holiness 𝐁𝐴𝐴 Swami. I have already stated the wonderful pastimes and background. So we are going to welcome you so that you are able to present immediately for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Maharajis, Krishna, Prabhujis, Matajis.
Welcome.
Sorry for being late. Actually, I was confused about the time. UK time is different from GMT, so I was a little bit confused. Sorry for that. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti 𝐶𝐚𝐤𝐬𝐤 Niti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Tasman Shri 𝐒𝐤𝐬 Sakti Bhakti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarvasdeve Gaura Bhattacharya Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Patsatartane Om Jnanam Timada Sajana Jana Shravya 𝐂𝐥𝐢𝐬𝐬 Dhira Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. So it is an honor for me to be on this platform this afternoon to speak about our dear and beloved Gurudev. We have to speak on Gurudev in the mood of Vasudev Datta. Vasudev Datta was one of the most intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we all know the story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave blessing to Vasudev Datta. Vasudev Datta also was very kind, was very compassionate, beyond comprehension. You know, in the Western world, we have a personality like Jesus Christ. So most of us, we were Christian before becoming devotees. So we have the story of Jesus Christ. He said, whoever follow my commandments, my instruction, I will, shall be saved. Yes. So Jesus Christ was ready to save people on the condition to that the person accepts his instruction and commandments. So here in the case, we have a personality, Vasudev Datta, who is beyond compassion. Let me check beyond compassion. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 15, describes beautifully the life of Vasudev Datta. From verse 158, you can read from there, and we connect it to his Gurudev compassion. So Vasudev Datta, he was the brother of Mukunda Datta. So he says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, I accept this Murari Gupta as my life and soul. When I hear his humility, it perturbs my life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Vasudev Datta and began to speak on his glories as if he had 1,000 mouths. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified him, Vasudev Datta immediately became very much embarrassed and shy. He then submitted himself, touching the Lord's lotus feet. Vasudev Datta told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my dear Lord, you incarnate just to deliver all conditioned souls. I now have one petition, which I wish you will accept. My dear Lord, you are certainly able to do whatever you like. You are indeed merciful. If you desire so, you can very easily do whatever you want. My dear Lord, my heart breaks to see the suffering of all the conditioned souls. Therefore, I request you to transfer the karma of their sinful lives upon my head. My dear Lord, let me suffer perpetually in a hellish condition, accepting all the sinful reactions of all living entities. Please finish their diseased material life. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard Vasudeva Datta's statement, his heart became very soft. Tears flowed from his eyes, and he began to tremble. In a faltering voice, he spoke as follows. Accepting Vasudeva Datta as a great devotee, the Lord said, such a statement is not at all astonishing, because you are the incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. It appears that Lord Krishna has bestowed complete mercy upon you. Therefore, there is no doubt about it. Whatever a pure devotee wants from his master, Lord Krishna absolutely grants, because he has no duty other than to fulfill the desire of his devotee. Yeah, so understand, Vasudeva Datta's prayer is that everyone else goes back to look at Vrindavan and will take all the karma and suffer. Not just suffer for a few times, suffer perpetually in hellish condition. I mean, this is beyond comprehension, beyond understanding. We understand there was pity. There was pity on someone. Okay, you can give a piece of bread and give a cloth and give some money, you can give some food and go away. Continue. But when you think about compassion, it needs to be in the position of the one who is suffering. Not just helping and go, but be in the position of the person suffering. That is real karuna, real compassion. That's why in Gurudev Pranam Mantra, it is there. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti BTSwami Namne Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Astat-mane Shri Gaura Karuna Karuna Shakti Shakti of Karuna, the compassion, Gaura. So from the beginning of Gurudev life with us, especially in West Africa, we detected that compassion. And you know, from Gurudev activities,
all right. Right now we are listening to the wonderful pastimes of Vasudeva Datta by His Holiness Charanadeshnu Swami. I think there has been a little glitch in the matrix. I'm hoping he will be able to reconnect shortly. But right now we're getting into the discussion of talking about real compassion and what it is and how Gurudev imbibed Vasudeva Datta's mood of real compassion, meaning that he would be willing to trade places with other people that were in suffering conditions. So we are going to hopefully continue, but I think His Holiness will come right back. Most likely he'll realize that he's disconnected. But yes, definitely getting into the idea of Vasudeva Datta. So we've had a wonderful day so far, reflecting on Vasudeva Datta, starting off with His Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshava Swami, who began us off by describing the different pastimes of Vasudeva Datta. And he pulled up the prayer of Vasudeva Datta, which is, quote, "My dear Lord, please let me suffer perpetually in a hellish condition, accepting all the sinful reactions of all living entities. Please finish their diseased material life." So, you know, this is definitely something that Gurudev did. We've heard this prayer over and over. And this is an exemplification of how high and how exalted Gurudev was in terms of actually having compassion for the conditioned souls, more than many of us, more than a lot of us do. So just in terms of just understanding how he was willing to trade places and not only talked about it, but actually did it. And, you know, this conditioned souls, again, talking about talking about Bhakti Swami as an exemplification of this, and also as basically a personification of love, whether it be through smiling, dancing, his classes, and just basically making an incredible impact because of what each of His Holiness Bhakti Damodara Swami has been talking about, as well as His Holiness Bhakti Charanadeshna Swami has been talking about, in terms of the willingness and the sincerity of having that deep compassion and humility, but actually having that sincerity of really wanting to change and actually put himself in other people's position in order for them to be free and actually truly free in different ways. So understanding that conviction is an urgency of really wanting to express dynamic Krishna consciousness. And he exemplified it in many, many different ways. And that's why he was able to have such a strong, valuable impact. So, and this is also an example of how Vaishnava shares so much, and that is the real wealth and mercy. And this is making these connections with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, as well as Vasudev Datta, is very important, as we're seeing on this day. So is His Holiness back yet? If not, I'm wondering if we should move to Srivas just in case.
He's here. He's in the waiting room.
Yes. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
He should be joining anytime.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Very excited to continue hearing from him. Okay, so just continuing. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I was saying that Gurudev had a dream. Many devotees knows about that dream. That a dream, and 2 times the Prabhupada asked him to open one door, and the 3rd time Gurudev stood up and opened that door. What did he saw? Many black body people were watching enter Prabhupada's house room. So it was clear indication that Gurudev had a mission to come and preach to Africa. Actually, because of Gurudev that we know about ISKCON in West Africa. Yes, we are very much grateful to him. And he sacrificed most of his time here in West Africa. He sacrificed his comforts, his time, because in terms of material life, America is far better than, let's say, in Africa. But Gurudev left this comfort, this easy way of this life, and come to Africa to try to elevate our consciousness. And we remember the prayer of Devavrata. It was called Devavrata before. Then it became Bhishma. When he made this vow, do not think of become a king in the future. Even his generation will never be king. So he decided to make that vow to remain celibate for life. So his name became Bhishma, which means terrible vow. So Gurudev also, we remember that in 2004, a year before his departure from this world, he made that terrible prayer in Shidam Mayapur. Very shocking prayer. In fact, some of his god brothers asked him not to do that prayer. But Gurudev was focused on his way of thinking. He has seen that not only in the whole world there are so many suffering problems, but he also noticed that within ISKCON, so many problems, so many conflicts, so many issues. So he made that prayer for Krishna to understand that whatever is obstacle should be removed. If he has to suffer. See, just like Vasudev Datta. Everyone else has to go to Goloka Vrindavan. I will stay in hell perpetually, forever. I want others to go. I will suffer. I will take their karma. Generally, when there is a situation, everyone tries to find his way to save his life. But it is very, very rare to see people have this kind of statements. So Gurudev also, he could have on his last days,
All right. Are you able to? It's going in. I think you might be back. All right, Maharaj, you're coming in and out again.
I prefer to go. My time has reached. Krishna has decided to take me. I prefer no need to spend a lot of money on this body. This body is already going. Please, the remaining money, please use it for other devotees. Amen. But it is compassion. And Gurudev could have also many of the God brought to go and leave the body in Mayapur or Vrindavan. He had the possibility to do that. But again, he said, no, I will stay with my beloved well-wishers, my beloved disciples here in 𝐾𝐡𝐚𝐤𝐬. See, America compared to Mayapur, what's the best place to leave the body? Of course, Mayapur. Of course, Vrindavan. But how can someone say, I prefer to leave my body in America? Because he wanted to live in the midst of the disciples. And he made it. So Gurudev's life was full of compassion. And we also see that he created this institute, IFAST, Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology. Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology. There is a technology in the world, technology in many ways, but there is also spiritual technology. But when it is applied, then our life can change. Then we can become better devotees, can please Krishna, can please. So that institute was made to transform the devotees from, sadhaka, from Kanisa devotees to highly qualified devotees. And nowadays in ISKCON and everywhere, all over the world, we have many courses, many seminars on compassion, on care and love. And I remember that the last seminar I attended was with Gurudev 2004 in Mayapur. Gurudev has been talking about love and care. That's why when he writes a letter to his disciple or to anybody, at the bottom of the letter he will write with love. Yes, because he knew that what was missing in the world was love and care. What was missing in the ISKCON family was love and care. So he was pushing to that. But why he was trying to do that, and he saw that it was difficult, then he made that prayer, that terrible prayer, to sacrifice his life, you know, for others to get purification. So in that lecture in 2004, he said, if Srila Prabhupada comes today and asks us, okay, what are these Gurukul boys? I will tell them, Prabhupada, they have left. Okay, what about that Mataji who is making nice puri? Prabhupada, she has left. What about this brahmachari who is playing nice brindanga? Prabhupada, please, she has left. So Gurudev was really conscious of not only himself, but he was conscious of the welfare, the care and love of others. Then he said you should make ISKCON in such a way that the demigods, the angels, you know, whatever they have, when they fly over the material world, they would like to join ISKCON. He was praying like that. That was his vision. That was his vision. But you can have a vision, but not everyone will have the same vision like you. So he knew very well that that vision was very, long-term vision. That's why he made the prayer. And he said, when I will leave, I will even be more available to my disciples and my well wishes. Yeah. So I remember one lecture of Gurudev in one of his books, Spiritual Warrior. He was saying that nowadays people want harmony, peace, love, care in the world. But there is a paradox. The paradox is that people live contrary to what they think. What they say is different from what they do. So he said, people want peace, but they eat balanced foods. People want peace, but they listen to violent music. People want peace and harmony, but they have violent thoughts. People want peace and harmony, but they always use violent words. People want love and peace, but they drink violent drinks. People want love and peace, but they always eat violent foods. They want love and peace, but they involve in violent politics. We want love and peace, but we involve in violent religion. See, so the love of Gurudev was just like 𝐸𝒐𝒍𝒍𝒐𝒘. Peace, love, care. Peace, love, care. Not for himself, for others. For others. So it is for us in the West Africa. We always say that it is our Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ of West Africa. Even not only for our West Africa, for the whole world. So very, very, very difficult to think of Gurudev. Think that Gurudev has just left us. Yes. For me, it always like just yesterday. His presence is always present, and of course we feel present. Yeah, it's absent, but the connection is there. It's always there. Yeah. So think as disciples, as well-wishers, if we want to please Gurudev, he said that the best way to serve Guru is Bani Seva, not Bapu. Bapu is okay, it's also good. And have to do cook for him, wash his clothes, drive him, give him some donation like that. Okay. But the most important is to carry his instruction. And he left so many instructions in his books. So instead of lamenting the whole Gurudev are left, we should try to be like small Bhakti Maharaj, especially his disciples. Try at least to walk. You should try to walk in his footsteps. That way, you will be pleased, and Srila Prabhupada will be pleased, and Krishna will be pleased with us. Of course, to do that, must be ready to do some real sacrifice. To allow others to enjoy, and we be the background. Just like when you have a very nice sabji, very nice, very tasty. Spices are there, garam masala is there, turmeric is there, many things are there. But one ingredient, one is missing. Look this. What is that? It is salt. Yes, it is salt. So in our life, it should become like salt. Not to try to be seen. Because maybe in the background and act so that people can feel our presence. I heard somewhere that should act in such a way that not people see our presence, but they should feel our absence. Listen, that is the case of Srila Gurudev. Now, we are not saying that there is no competent sannyasis of Gurus or not. There are many, but Gurudev's style of preaching, Gurudev's style of practicing devotional service was completely different altogether, and no one can compete it. It's very unique to Gurudev, and the whole world, all over the world, all the devotees they know that something is really missing. Who is going to preach now? Dynamic, like in Africa, like Gurudev. The easy way to contact the top guys in every country he goes. Gurudev, when he comes to Africa, he must always try to meet. We didn't know how he managed to do that. He will always meet head of state. Gurudev will enter some offices. Nobody will know how he could do that. And he was doing many things at once. Farm community, community development, like that. Of course, he was thinking in the future. For us. So we really think that Gurudev has done so much for us. So we have to learn. From Gurudev in the mood of Vasudeva. Now with the world of ISKCON, now we have noticed that thing, love and care. Those two elements, when they are missing, it can be a devotee for 100 years, but there's no love, there's no care, and ISKCON. Now we have stories of many devotees living, ISKCON. Not all of them bloop. We have this common word to bloop. Oh, he's a rascal. He's breaking principle. Those has left. Not every day like that. But some devotees also left to live because of frustration, because of lack of care and compassion. That element, those elements, 2 elements, love and care. 3, compassion. Very important in the community. We know very well why Gurudev gave us the 4, principles of strong community building. You all remember that. whatever, any person you see in your life, that you encounter, you have to think that yes, the quality of my advancement depends on the quality of the relationship I will develop with that people. And he said again, if you have love for a particular person, Mataji or Prabhuji or whatever, that same amount of love, we should try to develop it to whoever we meet, anybody we meet. This is, you can learn it from IFAS, NCT for applied techniques. You must apply it. Difficult, you must apply it. Because why? Someone is doing it already. And he said, whenever there is a conflict, we should be the first to say, I'm sorry. Say, Prabhuji, Mataji, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Not easy also. Very easy to mention, just like I'm mentioning, that's not easy to apply. Lastly, he said, we should remember that our body, when we are going to leave the body, we are going to leave the body with our God brothers and God sisters. The body cannot fly in the sky. Someone has to take care of the body. So we must cultivate love, compassion, and care, so that we also can get it. There is something called emotional bank account. Emotional bank account. It just work like a banking system. In the banking system, we invest and we withdraw. You can never withdraw what you didn't invest. If your bank is empty, then you can't withdraw anything. So if you invest love, care, attention, compassion, humility in your bank account, on your spiritual bank account, when there is time of need, you can withdraw. Very simple. So we must make sure that our bank account, our spiritual bank account is filled with these nice qualities. Just imagine the 26 Vaishnava qualities. Because then we have all of them in good number and quantity. A lot of compassion in our bank account, a lot of humility, a lot of love, a lot of care in our bank account. So in time of need, you just withdraw. But if you don't have anything like that, forget it. You cannot withdraw. You don't have any money in your bank account. You go to the bank, they will send you away. They'll call police for you. So thank you very much. Yeah, Maharajis, Prabhujis, Matajis.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love that idea of making sure we're having the right emotional and spiritual things in our bank account so that we can make sure that we are really thriving in Gurudev's his teachings and his mercy, and just understanding how he has given his life and illustrated to us how to be dynamic spiritual warriors through his leadership and example. Thank you so much, Maharaj. I'm so happy that you were able to come and share your wisdom and your wonderful. Thank you very much. I'll be going to the Congo. Hopefully, see some people over there, some devotees. Hari Hari Krishna, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much. So very, very exciting. So we are continuing to go deeper in understanding the legacy and the connections between Vasudev Dutt, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and just understanding the what Maharaj was just talking about in terms of compassion, care, love, and just diving deep into these teachings. And so up next we have His Grace Srivas Vanachari Das. His Grace Srivas. Yes. Oh, oops. Okay. So yes. So I'm going to. Okay. So His Grace Srivas Vanachari Das Maharaj joined ISKCON in Africa in 1981 and received initiation in 1983. He served as temple president in different temples in Nigeria and Ghana. He also served as BBT manager and regional secretary. He teaches the Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav courses at the Mayapur Institute. At present, he serves as ISKCON regional secretary for West Africa, GBC deputy, member of the task for assessment of sannyas candidates, also the sannyas ministry, executive member of Sustainable Vaishnav Community, Development, SBC, Zonal Supervisor for West Africa and the Global Duty Officer. He is West Africa's first Grihasta Guru. So we'd like to welcome His Grace Srivas Vanachari Das.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. His Holiness Bhakti Damodara Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti 𝐁𝐚𝐤𝐬 Maharaj, His Holiness Bhagavan Swayam Keshava Maharaj, and all the wonderful, wonderful devotees on this program. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj left us all of a sudden 18 years ago, and today we are remembering some of his very wonderful pastimes and activities. So in order to say a few words about these wonderful qualities and pastimes of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, I will first of all seek his blessings. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami iti namini. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Asri Tatmani Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha iti namini. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvise Sashyavari Pasuchade Sutarini. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lagayate Grim Yatkri Patamahan Vande Shri Guru Dina Taranam Paramanam Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Akanda Mandalakaram Vyapta Yena Characharam Tatpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So Vasudev Dutt is an emblem of compassion. In the Antya-lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions Adbhuta Dayalo Chintanya Abhuta Vandananya Aiche Dayalo Data Loke Nahi Suni Anyaha. That Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is wonderfully merciful and wonderfully magnanimous. We have not heard of anyone within these three worlds as so wonderful, as so merciful, as so charitable, and as so magnanimous. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the personification of compassion. And that is why he appeared in this age, Kali Yuga, fallen age, degraded age, to distribute this love of Godhead. And his devotees, they represent that aspect of his compassion. Actually, Srila Narottam Das Thakur sings, Gorangera Sangigane, Nitya Siddha Karimane, Se Yaya Vrajendra Sutta Pasha. Anyone who executes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission must be considered eternally liberated. He is a transcendental person and does not belong to this material world. such a devotee engaging in the deliverance of the total population is as magnanimous as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So 𝐸𝒍𝒍𝒐𝒘 being the 19th branch of the Sri Chaitanya tree, was a most confidential devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And one could not describe his qualities even with thousands of mouths. It is said that in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, there were a number of devotees who formed a pair, a duo. Mukunda Dat and 𝐸𝒍𝒍𝒐𝒘, they were brothers. And Mukunda Dat was so humble that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would glorify him unlimitedly. Similarly, 𝐸𝒍𝒍𝒑 was so compassionate that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told devotees that his body belonged to 𝐸𝒍𝒍𝒑 and that 𝐸𝒍𝒍𝒑 could sell him for any price. Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami were another pair. They were also brothers. And they also demonstrated great humility. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Vidya Vichaspati, they were also brothers. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told them that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya should worship Lord Jagannath in Puri and Vidya Vichaspati should worship Ganga in Mayapur. So there are many, many devotees like this. So 𝐸𝒍𝒍𝒑 was a dear brother of Mukunda Datta. And they were so dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Mahaprabhu would glorify these devotees with 1,000 mouths. And as others have already mentioned, 𝐸𝒍𝒍𝒑 actually approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and petitioned him Jivera dukkha deki mora hridaya abhidare sarva jivere papa prabhudeha mora sire. My Lord, my heart breaks to see the suffering of all the conditioned souls. Therefore, I request you to transfer their karma of their sinful activities upon my head. Let me perpetually suffer in hell, accepting all the sinful reactions of all the living entities. Please, my dear Lord, finish their diseased material life. So in this way, 𝐸𝒍𝒍𝒑 exemplified the epitome of compassion. And our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, was in that mood. Actually, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can find a number of parallels of this compassion. In the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 21st chapter, verse 12, it is mentioned how Rantidev prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He said, I do not pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the 8 perfections of mystic yoga, nor salvation from repeated birth and death. I want only to stay among all living entities and suffer all the distresses on their behalf, so that they may be freed from suffering. Prahlad Maharaj also, in the 7th canto, 9th chapter, verse 43, Prahlad Maharaj also made such a prayer. Say, oh, best of the great personalities, I am not all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern only is for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. So, Srila Gurudev Bhakti Swami Maharaj was in this mood. In fact, his whole life was a life of compassion. And we can see that manifested as soon as he joined Srila Prabhupada's mission. As soon as Bhakti Maharaj joined Srila Prabhupada's mission, his heart was burning. He had a burning desire to distribute this knowledge, this compassion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Srila Prabhupada, of the previous acharyas. He had that desire to distribute the mercy, the love, the care to everyone. And so his eagerness to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books was unlimited. His desire to make sure that everybody receives Srila Prabhupada's book was unlimited. And that was a manifestation of his deep, deep compassion for making sure that every living entity is connected back to the spiritual world. His extensive travels throughout the world was simply to extend himself to as many people as possible, so that this love, care, and compassion would be distributed to everyone throughout the world. Indeed, his great ecstatic kirtans, his great dancing, ecstatic dancing, were all manifestations of that compassion. He was relishing such love, such ecstasy from the ocean of compassion, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was eagerly distributing that love, compassion, and care to all living entities, wherever he found himself. And in fact, Srila Bhakti Maharaj will make everyone chant and dance in order to be connected to that compassion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishnadas Kaviraj mentions Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Bhava Mitahiyaha Aswadyan Swadhyayam Bhakta Preman Diksham Ashikshayat. Says the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to distribute love of Godhead, Krishna Bhavamritam, to distribute love of Godhead, which is very tasty. Aswadhyaya, aswadhya, very tasty, very tasteful. His mission was to distribute this mercy, this love, this taste to every living entity under the sun. And therefore, his bona fide servants, his dedicated servants, his loyal servants, they were in the same mood. Srila BTSwami Maharaj was in the mood of distributing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy and compassion. It is said that Srila Prabhupada called him, he nicknamed him the dancing black Chaitanya. The dancing black Chaitanya. Because his dancing was a distribution of love and compassion. In 2004, in Sri Mayapur, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj made that terrible pronouncement. All his life, he has been preaching compassion, preaching love, preaching care, all his life. And every group of people in ISKCON, they recognize that love and compassion that was demonstrated by Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Children felt that compassion, women felt that compassion, brahmacharis felt that compassion, grihastas felt that compassion, sannyasis felt that compassion. Even the GBC members, they felt that compassion emanating from Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj year in and year out. But despite that effort by Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, he was not seeing much achievement in all those efforts. So finally, in 2004, when Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was asked to give the Bhagavatam class, that was his last class in Mayapur, I was so fortunate, I happened to be there in 2004. That was the year of the installation of the Panchatattva deities in Mayapur. And I was right in that class. I was sitting right in front of him when Maharaj made those pronouncements. He said that whatever is necessary to be taken away in his life, Krishna should let it happen. And whatever sufferings he has to experience in this life, may Krishna bring it upon his head. If that will bring advancement to the devotees in ISKCON, if that will bring progress to ISKCON as a body, he was ready to receive all the reactions of all the devotees in ISKCON upon his head, so that ISKCON can make progress in expanding Srila Prabhupada's mission. It was a very heavy statement. And he told his God brothers and God sisters that each and every one of them should go before Srila Prabhupada and make a similar prayer. And I'm sure nobody did. In fact, some of his God brothers and God sisters, after the class, they told Bhaktivedanta Maharaj that he should withdraw that prayer because it was too much. But Maharaj, he meant it because all his life was a life of compassion. All his life, he demonstrated this love, care, and compassion everywhere he went. But he realized that much wasn't happening, and therefore he became the sacrificial animal. He was ready to sacrifice his life in order to allow ISKCON and its members to make progress spiritually. So Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, his heart was full of compassion. And he demonstrated that throughout his life. It was therefore not surprising that he closed his life by taking on the mood of Vasudev Datta. And as Vasudev Datta pleased Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so much, as Vasudev Datta purchased Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his compassion, I am convinced that Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, accepting the reactions, accepting all the troubles that had beset ISKCON on his head, the reactions of all the devotees on his head, in order for the movement, ISKCON movement, to make progress. Bhaktivedanta Maharaj had purchased Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just as Vasudev Datta purchased Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is our great fortune, to have been in touch with such an exalted devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you so much.
We are missing him, actually. We are missing Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. Many, many people, devotees and non-devotees, they all say that Maharaj left this planet untimely. He could have done much more preaching. He could have converted many more leaders in the world to take a Krishna consciousness. But all of a sudden, Maharaj left us. And as Bhakti Chaudhary Maharaj said, he created a vacuum, and that vacuum has not been filled till today. And so as Maharaj said, we are hoping that his leading devotees will gradually occupy that vacuum. So we have a responsibility, all of us. It's a legacy. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj has left behind a legacy of compassion. And all of us, as disciples, we have to carry this legacy forward, a legacy of compassion. Thank you, and Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. That was so beautiful. Beautiful to take us back, and also just to remember, and also to see, and then also just really kind of express how many devotees and friends and just people all over the world are missing Gurudev's teachings, his life, and just the way that he implemented everything. in the way that he would bring uniqueness to every single situation and really illustrate the idea of Vasudev Dutt's compassion throughout everything. And I loved how also, thank you so much, Sri Vasavandachari Das, for bringing in the cantos and just also bringing in, you know, other people that have had similar moods to Vasudev Dutt, such as Rantidev and Prahlad, and just bringing those in and sharing and bringing us back to Mayapur and the prayers. And then, you know, it's tying in with everyone, you know, discussing how most people are like, take it back. Do not say that that's what you, that prayer. You please don't make it, make that prayer, take it back. But he was sincere and serious and really, you know, yeah, the emblem. I think that's a great, emblem of compassion for this movement in many different ways. Thank you so much. We are going to move on now to a video first from a realization of one realization from the teachings of BTSwami that someone is about to share since last year. And while we're watching this, devotees, please think about one thing that you have learned. Navikishore, yes. So please think about one thing that you have learned over this last year and be ready to share afterwards quickly.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Omagyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dhruva Maharaj kindly asked me to speak on the theme of dedication, compassion, and love. I'd like to share 3 stories of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj that were personal to me that I reflected on when he gave me this theme. The first one was dedication. He gave a class at the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology in Silver Spring at Madhvacharya Prabhu's house, the current house he's in. And in that temple room, he told his disciples that to not think that by writing him they were overworking him, but that rather that they were working him less. He was emphatic that he wanted to be actively involved in the spiritual welfare and the lives of his disciples. And that struck me at that meeting. And also in 2005, during the initiation, when he said that he doesn't like to accept disciples in countries where he doesn't regularly visit. He wanted to be in the lives of his disciples, and especially in this bond. Dedication. Compassion. When there are many examples that you can point to or consider. For myself, there was one instance when I was asking him for initiation. I was stuttering. I was nervous. Something that, you know, we all do when the stakes are high, so to speak. And I remember the look that he gave me when he saw me speaking. He didn't interrupt me. He waited for me. And later on, when I read his biography and I learned that he also had a stuttering problem growing up as a child, I understood that because he had experienced that, he could be patient for me in that moment and listen. Compassion. Love. When I first started coming to the temple, I thought the more times you said Jai Srila Prabhupada, it was an indicator of how much you actually love Srila Prabhupada. This was one of my first impressions of being around devotees at the temple. But I later learned, and when I reflected about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, I saw that I didn't feel like he would say that often and frequently. I learned, though, that his love was much deeper and more profound. In the introduction of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will find a statement where Lord Krishna speaks about why is it that he is feeling, why is Radharani attracted to him? And Prabhupada makes a point that man is seeking something that's missing within him, and that's the woman. And Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj made the point in the Transforming Lust into Love lecture given at Howard University. He took that same principle from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and used it to help men and women become more whole in their relationships with each other. And his theory and his point based off of Prabhupada's books was that when we become more whole ourselves by becoming more spiritual, we can have more fulfilling relationships where we're not expecting somebody else to be what we're lacking. And so when I read that introduction of Prabhupada and thought about his lecture, I realized that how deeply he was thinking about applying Srila Prabhupada's instructions to really to relationships and to the people he was interacting with. And this helped me to really understand that his love for Srila Prabhupada was very, very deep love. So those are the three stories. I thank you, Dhruva Maharaj Prabhu and the assembled devotees for this opportunity. And I know that there are many other senior devotees here, and I appreciate that amidst this august assembly, I have this opportunity to share with you all. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Navakishore, for starting us off. What we're going to do now is if devotees would like to raise their hands and basically share some of the reflections briefly, just share basically one or two different reflections that you have been processing or just reflecting on, or whatever's on your heart. We are going to do that for the next 10 to 15 minutes. All right, so if there are any devotees who would like to raise their hand, and what we're going to do is whoever speaks, then they're going to select the next devotee that has their hand raised. So because I am unable to actually see people, I'm going to allow whoever can see people right now to select if people have their hands raised, because I can't see that. Wonderful. All right. And if not, we might actually just pick someone. Dun, 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 dun. All right, reflections over the last year. Who would like to go first? All right, since I'm up, I guess I'll say something. Hopefully someone will raise their hand. If not, we will just keep it moving. So far, I feel like, just kind of reflecting on everyone that has talked today, it's just, we realize how much mercy we have. And I'm like, okay, I know I have no qualification, nothing at all. But I keep on getting a lot of mercy that I know is not warranted from me. So, and I'm just like, well, it has to be from Gurudev. But like really reflecting and just like, how everyone's talking, I'm just like, it's all Gurudev. We know this, but like really, really kind of like seeing and hearing and reflecting, it's all Gurudev. So I feel like that's become clear. And I know it's like a no-brainer, but at the same time, it's just beautiful to see and feel and hear and just, hearing the reflections, hearing the compassion, and just hearing how different things are going. And I see we have a hand raised. So we will allow Antaryami, Her Grace Antaryami, to go next and share reflections on different reflections from Gurudev over this last year. And then you will be able to nominate the next person. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You're doing a wonderful job. I am so grateful that we have this format, that we come together. However many are on the line, it is mercy just to be able to hear each other. And thanks to everyone. Everything has been very, very helpful. The one thing, and I'll do it real quick, the one thing I've really learned is that Gurudev is very, very much available to us in whatever service it is that we're performing. He's very, very available. And the other is that I try not to control situations. If I have a situation, I do what I can do, and I ask mercy and let Krishna and Guru do the rest instead of trying to control. So I'm learning not to try to control and just to go with the mercy and to surrender more. So that's my one big takeaway from the year so far. And that's a big thing for me. Thank you. Let's see. So I get to choose someone?
Yes, you do.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Achyuta. Haribo, Hare Krishna. Are you there? Achyuta Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's yours now. The floor is yours.
I'm sorry, I'm not really feeling so well right now, but I'll try to honor your request, Mother.
Oh, that's okay.
Just I'm grateful
Please.
to be able to hear our Gurudev being honored in such a wonderful way by so many exalted personalities and God brothers and sisters. We are also very fortunate to have had the association of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, who continues to inspire all of us in so many ways. Like he said, he would be more available to us in his absence than in his presence. And as always, he is true to his word. So I'm just thankful for all the many blessings and the mercy that he continues to bestow and the way that he reveals himself constantly to remind me and all of us that he is always with us and continues to guide and protect us. And thank you for this wonderful service, Dhira Maharaj, and for everyone who arranged this opportunity for us to come together in this way. I'm sorry I'm not able to, show up on camera, but just begging to be able to continue to, in some way, be an example of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's unconditional love and
Jai, thank you so much. Very, very beautiful. Really, really appreciate that. Especially, we're praying that you feel better soon and that you are, look forward to seeing you soon somewhere. All right, so we are going to go to Sati Devi Dasu, who has her hand raised. And if someone else would like to share reflections over this last year, please raise your hand. And Sati, you can choose the next person. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. It's always just I want to say how thankful I am that this person is. Sorry, I'm cooking. I just want to say how thankful that BTSwami, I've never met him in person, and how thankful I am that he came to me in my life, and it seems like he planned my whole entire life out and is still planning it, and how he gave me my spirit master, and I've just been deeply praying that I can emulate some of his characteristics and his mood towards other devotees in my community, and I can somehow show some of his compassion and find that gets somehow learn from him. So I just want to share that, I guess, that he's given me my husband also and made everything wonderful in my life. Very Krishna. Let me see who else is raising their hand.
Thank you so much.
Do I just choose anybody?
Okay, and either way, you can choose anyone if you know someone else on here that'll. Thank you so much for sharing. Also, highly appreciate it, and thank you for your presence and being here and participating. It's great to see you.
Thank you. How about Jaya? How about Gopika? Jaya Gopika? Is she there? Does she want to speak?
We have Ananda Vrindavana Dasi.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, all glories to Gurudev, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the assembled devotees. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to hear Gurudev's glories. It's so refreshing, it's so moving. I feel my heart is so moved and so reminded of all the jewels I got from Gurudev throughout all these years. And last year for me was very special. My Shiksha Guru, His Holiness 𝐾𝐚𝐤𝐿 Maharaj, left for Vrindavan in order to prepare to leave his body. So I was able to go to Vrindavan since very beginning and stay until the end. So I just returned from Vrindavan a month ago. So I stayed like more than 8 months in Vrindavan, being with Maharaj, with his devotees and in holy place. It was such a special experience for me. And I felt so much that this was fully arranged by Gurudev. Like whole relationship with Maharaj, with 𝐾𝐚𝐤𝐿 Maharaj was arranged by Gurudev. I remember praying in front of Gurudev Samadhi 10 years ago to send me a person to guide me, to continue to guide me on practical issues. And immediately, like a few months after that, praying in front of his Samadhi in Mayapur, I established a relationship with 𝐾𝐚𝐤𝐿 Maharaj. And especially for last year, this whole experience, I felt so strongly that Gurudev took care of everything. Like it was organized, arranged by him that I go, that I stay for so long, and that I receive so many amazing insights and realizations and experiences. So I feel very grateful, and I feel very comforted knowing that Gurudev is still here and taking personal interest in us still, and caring for us and providing us opportunities to grow and advance. So I just feel grateful for that. I wanted to share. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Thank you so much, Nanda Vrindavan Dasi. So great to see you and great to hear your reflections and very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful nectar pastimes and illustrating how Gurudev is still connecting us in different ways with different souls and just very much present. Definitely. All right. We are going to have one more person speak. Pretty Mai, if you are able to unmute and share, we'd love to hear from you. Dun dun. And if not, we're.
Am I audible? Okay.
Yeah.
So I would just like to share this little thing that for me, like from knowing who my spiritual master is, and even going ahead till date, at every juncture where I'm finding completely lost and I don't know where to go ahead in my spiritual journey. So it has always been some meditation of His Holiness BTSwami Maharaj from the Beggar book, which would guide me and like perfectly place me in the position which helps me go ahead with a newer energy. So for me, that is one of the very sweet exchanges that I've been having. And it has been both his Vyasa Pujas in Mayapur that we celebrate that are always a source for, bringing up that new eagerness and enthusiasm and a new fire in me to constantly try to improve myself. So that would be from my side. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So beautiful. All right. If there are no other people that would like to present right now and just share some reflections, we are going to move on to the video. Thank you everyone for participating and sharing some of the reflections. And now we are going to the video connect from His Holiness BTSwami on connecting with the Lord in the heart.
Give a big welcome to His Holiness Srila Bhakti Swami Maharaj. Jagannath Swami ki. ISKCON founder Charles Prabhupada ki. So I will speak very briefly so that we can have more time for these wonderful dances and music and feasting. We can see that spiritual life is not just something monotonous. It's about culture, spiritual culture. And some of these kind of performances and exchanges show us that serving God is not just a matter of only reflecting and conceptualization and meditation, but it's a matter of engaging in meditation using all of our senses, in the mind and the senses, and ultimately of connecting with the soul. So today we are honoring Rath Yatra, and it has very important significance, important connections for not only Vaishnavas, but actually for people all over the world. They just had a better idea of what it's about. But first we have Jagannath. We were singing as the cart was coming, Jagannath Swami, Yanapatigami, that Lord of the universe. We're not talking about a sectarian God. We're not talking about a sectarian process. But we're talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how we can honor His wonderful mercy, blessings, and connect with Him in the proper mode of service. Bala, we had on the card Baladev and Subhadra. Bala means strength. Su means auspicious. So we are understanding that anything that has to do with God genuinely is about spiritual strength, and spiritual strength helps us to eradicate negative influences or not to give in to weakness based on the dictates of the mind and the senses. Krishna consciousness is really a process of how to understand what ultimately is everyone's relationship with the Lord and what we do once we are back home. Religion basically helps us to be ethical, to be moral, and to accept that there's a God. But then there's an advancement beyond that. Is once we honor that there is the Godhead, then there's a tremendous science of the rastha, or relationship of the soul in its eternal association with the Lord. And this deals with sambandha, or spiritual relationship. Abhideya prayoja. The things that we do to be able to honor that relationship, and what the ultimate goals of that, of course, is prema, or love, loving relationships. As the soul is full of love, it's eternal, and of course, it is always engaged in ultimate blissful activities. We say Satchitananda Vigraha. So this bringing of the cart is very much at the basis of our society. Our philosophy is that we're not these dehis, we're not these bodies. That we're here in this material world because we are normally identifying or overly identifying with physicality, with material nature, with material culture. So we're highly addicted to gratifying the senses. The senses are demanding so many things, and they send a message to the mind. They tell the mind, all right, do something for our gratification. So most people, they are literally slaves of their senses, particularly under the control of the mind. So real spiritual life is that we're engaged in what's called yoga, Bhakti yoga. Science of devotion, science of love. And we're happy to speak about this. Machita magata pana boyantes cha parasparam, kalyantes cha manicha, tushanti cha romanticha. So as devotees are connecting, they want to share. This festival is a way of trying to share spiritual culture. Trying to share understanding that there's something higher than the senses, something higher than the mind, something higher than the intelligence, and there of course is the soul, which is our real identity. So we're in these bodies because we are minimizing the nurturing of the soul. We're in these bodies because our higher existence is quite lying dormant. And so the spiritual culture has a tremendous way of engendering our dormant consciousness. We see these wonderful dances, and I think if you were hearing earlier, I was in and out, but some of these dances is not just moving the body, but every movement is like a language. Some of the other dances that will be coming up, these are things that are related to service to the Lord. Anything we see in the material world, for instance, we see that there's some scholars of rites of passage, we see their anniversaries, we understand there's festivals, people are glorifying individuals and glorifying occasions. All of this is really a reflection from what goes on eternally in the spiritual world. The material world is a perverted reflection of a higher reality. Just as you have an artificial apple, you have an artificial lemon. Well, the artificial fruit is existing because there is a genuine fruit. It's a replica, it doesn't have four vibrance, but it is an image of that, or it's somewhat a liking. So the material planet here and material universes, they're actually the artificial, or they're perverted reflections of something higher. So we have all of these things that we do for enjoyment, all these things that we do in terms of positing our existence. Someone is our friend, someone is our master, someone is our lover, someone we have a neutral relationship. The science of the soul explains that we can ultimately have eternally a neutral relationship with Krishna. We can have a relationship based on service, like servant and master. We can have a relationship with the Lord eternally based on friendship. That means that every single person has his or her own special relationship with the Lord that ultimately is to be experienced as we become freed from the slaving of the mind and the senses. Someone can have a relationship with God as like a parent to a child, and also like a lover. So I'm going to end with this aspect. With what we did today had a lot to do with this honoring of God as in a very intimate way, as lover, as parent, as friend. The life that is given in the higher aspects of spiritual knowledge deals with Vaikuntha or Vrindavan, where God is served not just as an autocrat, not just the one who is demanding, do this, if you don't, there will be some type of repercussion. Not the God that is just condemning people and wanting to be served, to be ingratiated. But the Lord who is engaged in very, very sweet exchanges to the point that Krishna even serves his own devotees. So Srimati Radharani, some very special servants and greatest servants of the Lord, they had, Krishna had been away from them in Vrindavan. And so they were eager to connect with the Lord in this most auspicious and open and genuine and flowing and vibrant relationship. Because when Krishna is in Mathura and Vrindavan, he is more in the mood of being the Aishvara. He's more in the mood of opulence, more in the mood of being the Lord who controls everything, but in such a way that some of the simplicity is obfuscated or not so accessible. Just like when there's real love, it goes beyond barriers. It goes beyond sort of categorization. It goes beyond position. It goes beyond political, economic status. Just like the love sometimes between the child and the parent, or love between the child and the grandparent. It goes beyond. The parent may be a judge, maybe a president of a country, but that is not important in the child's mind. The child is thinking, this is my mommy, this is my daddy, this is my grandpapa, etc. So in Vrindavan, they're not even thinking that Krishna is Mata Paratananyanyat Kinchirasti Jananjaya, that all things are resting upon him, and that he is controlling everything in the most microcosm as well as the most macrocosm way. They're just thinking that this is our lovable friend, this is our our lovable partner, conjugally, they're thinking, this is my most lovable child. So the devotees in Vrindavan, they were thinking, when will Krishna come back? He sent sometimes Uddhava and others to console the residents of Vrindavan, but it was not the same. When they heard that he was in Kurukshetra, then they were interested in trying to draw him back to the sweetness of Vrindavan. Radharani met with him and she said, oh, hey Govinda, it is not the same that you are the Krishna, I am Radha, we are the same, but this is not the same in Mathura. You wanted to be with him in this land of pure love where there is no barriers. So this Rath Yatra emphasizes or commensurates drawing Krishna back to the highest environment, Vrindavan, where the love is just overflowing, where there are no barriers to receiving God's love and the Lord emanating or radiating His love. So we are drawing them back on the cart, and it can remind us, and I'll end with this, it can remind us that we never want to be satisfied in any kind of conditions, any type of arrangements outside of what the soul ultimately is about, and that is in Braj or Vrindavan. We want to always remind ourselves that the dehi of the body, the Lord is resting in the heart. There's a presence of God in everyone's heart, and we can connect with that presence. We just have to do as we did today. We have to pour, we have to focus, and we have to work in community, in association. Sadhu Sangha helps to remind us what our real responsibilities are and makes it exciting as we undergo various challenges. Now imagine 3 or 4 people trying to pull that cart by themselves. It wouldn't have went anywhere. But so many people pulling the ropes, it was easy to bring the cart. Devotees singing, devotees dancing, devotees fanning the Lord. So this was tremendous spiritual community in being able to honor Lord Jagannath, Baladeva, and Subhadra. So this is what the soul is always doing, always involved in honoring the Lord in association. So please continue the rest of the day and honor this spiritual culture by taking advantage. Don't miss anything. Prasadam is here, books are here, videos are here, wonderful things are happening on the stage. Also, some of you do not know each other, you have a chance to meet each other, talk about how you can work together in your spiritual life, because these are wonderful opportunities to have quality association. Some haven't seen each other in a long time, so we can all play our role in trying to remind each other of Krishna. As we do that, it comes back to us. So as you leave before the night is over, try to keep this spirit with you. Remember what happened here, but keep in your mind that Krishna has no favorites. He is in everyone's heart, and He's also watching each of us. He's monitoring what we're saying, what we're thinking, and what we're doing. But He's so close that we can pull Him, we can call upon Him, and we can understand that we also have this chance to go back to our home, to be able to experience these highest rasas of exchange of Sambandha. That this is each of our natural inheritance, and we want to get that inheritance. And the best way that one can inherit something is what? And when I just think about this as I leave, the best way to inherit something, Shuddha Maharaj, one of our great acharyas in our line, he emphasizes, how does a son, and I leave you with this question, how does a son gain an inheritance? He simply has to do what? The father's arranged so many things for the son. How does he get the inheritance? He simply has to stay alive. If he stays alive, things are arranged for him to receive. So stay alive in your spiritual life, and there are many inheritances that's available for everyone. But if we die before we get our inheritance, we don't maintain the life, the spiritual life, nourishing our creeper, then what is available, we miss it. We all have the chance to inherit Raj. Thank you very much.
Jai Ho! So it's BTSwami ki Jai. All right, yes. No, that was beautiful. Beautiful way to close out today, describing how basically that's a spiritual inheritance. This is connecting with everyone's lecture, everyone's discussion today. So we started off with His Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Swami, continued with His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Damodara Swami, followed by His Holiness Charnadeshnu Swami, and her Grace Shri Upanishad Devi Dasi, and then His Grace Srivas Vanachari Das. And then we also were able to hear wonderful pastimes from letters and from Turiya, and from Bhakti Tirtha Swami's niece, we heard from Normella. And then also we followed that by disciple sharing. And we had speakers describe some of the reflections, starting off with Navakishore, Antaryami, Achyuta, and Sati, and followed by a wonderful video connecting with the Lord in our heart from Detroit. No. So definitely, I want to thank everyone for putting this together. His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Damodar Swami and his disciples team has basically, along with Dhruva, have been doing a dynamic putting this together. And so we're very, very grateful that they have taken the time and are so expertly leading this and allowing us to come together in the Sangam. Thank you, Yogini and Lilamrita, for translating in Portuguese and Spanish. And thank the media team, Pritimai, Shamapriya, Shravana, and there's one person that I don't know their name. If somebody can say their name, that would be helpful for whoever else is on here and helping facilitate this. But thank you all for doing such a wonderful job. And we are going to close with a video, but I want to thank you all. And tomorrow we have an exciting upcoming event, and we look forward to everyone being here. We are particularly excited. We're getting new people on every day, but we want to make sure that you stay tuned, because we're going to have our second Sangam, which starts at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. And there's a lot of other times that you all can look at the flyer to see who's going to be here. But so we'll have Malati, Her Grace Malati Devi Dasi, Vishaka Devi Dasi, Kavi Chandra Swami, His Grace Bhuttabhavana Das, His Holiness Hridayananda Goswami, His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami, along with His Holiness Jai Pataka Swami. And I think we also just received confirmation as well as possibly His Holiness Jai Dwaita Swami. So we have a packed, powerful spiritual Sangam day. So let's continue to build up our spiritual bank accounts by having this Sangam and supporting each other and sharing that love and compassion. Encourage everyone to come back tomorrow and bring others as well. And we look forward to watching this closing out video song. So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Long time ago in America, to a caring Christian ma, a boy was born to change the world, fill the folks he met with love. Oh Gurudeva, dear Gurudev, please never let us go. May we always follow you and walk the path you show. Struggling to speak, and yet he could speak of God's love flawlessly. His words have touched a million's heart, his deed motivates so many. Oh Gurudev, oh dear Gurudev, please never let us go. May we always follow you and walk the path you show. When Srila Prabhupada asked for us to spread his words everywhere, his ardor and his love for him got him serving at the speed of air. Oh Gurudev, oh dear Gurudev, please never let us go. May we always follow you and walk the path you show. Washing the dirty consciousness, he transformed the eyes so fast. His vision ahead in time always, his thoughts so deep, so vast. Oh Gurudeva, dear Gurudev, please May we always follow you and walk the path you show. God truly favored the humankind by sending this special soul. This John too came to baptize from the sins to our eternal goal. Oh Gurudeva, dear Gurudev, please never let us go. May we always follow you and walk the path you show. Servant of beloved Ghanshyama's friend, so dear to all, he personified compassion, he broke all limiting thralls. Oh Gurudeva, dear Gurudev, please never let us go. May we always follow you and walk the path you show. A leader, a spiritual warrior, he taught us to be the same. A visionary like no other, Swami Krishna Pad his name, Swami Bhakti Tirth his name. Oh Gurudeva, dear Gurudev, please never let us go. May we always follow you and walk the path you show.